Please welcome Head of Advisory CISOs, Cisco, Wendy Natha.
What were we thinking? No, seriously, what were we thinking? I know what we were thinking. We were thinking that IT professionals would be the only ones to be using technology and that companies would control how it was used. We even thought you had to know how to program in order to be able to use technology. It used to be, once upon a time, that we were the masters of the universe. We had all the knowledge, so we made all the rules, and everybody else was supposed to follow them. We issued and managed the devices, we wrote the software, we ran the servers, we pulled the cables, but none of that is working out as well as it used to, is it? Because now laptops have left the building, so have the servers and the software, and every one of us is a consumer of technology, and we do what we want with our own devices. We are trying to secure with an unsustainable security model, and it's time to break it and put it back together. Now, how do we put this back together? In some industries, they've reinvented themselves based on the demands of their consumers. Now, if every one of us is a consumer, then tech belongs to all of us. Tech is being democratized, and so it is time to democratize security. Now, what does that even mean? You're going to hear this phrase, democratizing security, this week at RSA from a bunch of other people. And it can mean different things. For example, it can mean sharing security tools and software with people outside of the industry. It can mean what 451 research describes as the rise of the citizen contributor, people outside the industry who are bringing knowledge and research and vulnerabilities and so on inside. I'm going to talk about what it means to me and to people I've asked about it all around the world. And I'm also going to talk about 3 ways that we can do this. We can start by changing our model of security from a control model to collaboration. We can simplify and redesign the security controls that we use, and we need to open up our security culture to everybody. Let's start with number 1. I love this quote. When you can't control people's behavior, you have to deputize the majority of users to be CIOs. Security should be designed to be adopted rather than engineered to be enforced. And this is, of course, from my great-grandboss, Doug Song, the co-founder with John Oberheid of Duo Security and now GM at Cisco. And he was the first person that I heard democratizing security from. It used to be, once upon a time, that we had work stuff and we had life stuff. You used very different systems and software at work than you did when you went home. Because nobody goes home and uses ERP software for fun, right? Right? Because if anybody does, I want to stage an intervention. But now we are using the same software and systems, the same SaaS, for work stuff and life stuff, the same things that our employers are using, like Gmail, where the only difference is which username you're typing in. So as work and life are getting mashed up together, people are getting nervous about whether their employers are going to try to control their lives. They say, don't you dare wipe my personal data off of my device. I'm going to do what I want with it. When people worry about control, they start pushing back. Now, when I was working at a Swiss bank, I found out later from my team that whenever I would walk through the trading floor in my little designer suit, the traders would literally see me coming, they would unplug the modems from their workstations, hide them in the desk drawer, wait until I went by, and then they would pull them back out and plug them back in. Now, was I the threat they should have been focused on? But I was the most visible threat. This is what we run into when we run into control issues. We have to change security from an authoritarian control model to a collaboration model. Now, let me ask you, do you think that we are the ultimate authorities on security? Should we be making all the security decisions? No. I'm going to put it to you that sometimes users can make better security decisions than we can. I know, it's time to clutch your pearls. It's a scary thing to contemplate, but really, we need to face this reality. I have a friend who is a CISO at a major tech company. You're going to see him on this stage later in the week. And he tells me about how when the business comes to him with an initiative and they say, "Is this safe to do?" He says, "I don't know. Is it? You tell me." Now, that may sound kind of snarky, but what he's really doing is he's empowering them to make the security decisions because he knows that they are better at weighing the business opportunity against the business risk than he is. This is what we have to make room for when we are changing our security control model. Now, the word collaboration is actually not new. It's been 20 years now since the Jericho Forum started talking about deperimeterization, and they proposed a collaboration-oriented architecture. There's that word, collaboration. Because when you can't control something that you need to secure, you are stuck with collaboration. What that's going to look like, of course, now we are calling it zero trust, but I don't like the term zero trust as much as I like collaboration. Sorry, John Kindervag. But it's the same thing. We are ending up saying, look, do what you want on your own time with your own devices, but if you want to access our resources, you have to meet our security requirements. Now, they might be different requirements based on what we're protecting. We might care what you're using. We might not care. But either way, you figure out how you want to meet our requirements, and then we'll talk. Collaboration. What will this look like when we get to an architecture? I've got a very, very high-level diagram here. If you imagine that in the green box is what we normally keep in the data center, and that's what we assume that we control. You got your web servers, you got database, you got back office servers and everything. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that we are using externally, like infrastructure as a service, you're running stuff in the cloud, you've got software as a service, you're using third-party APIs, and of course, you don't control the internet, and you don't control the user. You might think you do, but you don't. And of course, when we look below this, there are a whole bunch of layers that we might or might not have access to, that we might or might not control. Even in our own data center, another department might control some of the layers underneath. If you are using, if you're running VMs, for example, you are only going to be able to control that top layer, the application layer. You're not going to be able to control the hypervisor, the operating system, the hardware, the network. With SaaS, you're only controlling the little wedge of what your account is with that provider. If you're using a third-party API, the only part you control is your use of it. And as I mentioned, we don't control the user. The users are pushing back. They are taking back control, and we can either fight it or we can work with them to make it work for them. But imagine how our architectures will look in the future when we start taking this into account, these boundaries of negotiation, these boundaries of control. We already have this with third parties. We're just not explicit enough about it. But think about how this would change your architecture if you're thinking about what you control and what you don't. And in fact, you might want to give away control. What would this look like? It might be setting up a self-service portal for your users, for researchers to look at what data they want to use and looking up what regulations and security controls they need to comply with. I've seen this already at universities. It might be externalizing the business rules into a separate engine from the application so that the business can change those rules whenever they need to without you rewriting the whole application. There are lots of ways to do this, and I know it makes people nervous, especially security people, to think about the idea of giving away control. So let me talk about it in a different way. Let me reframe it and see if it makes you feel better. If you think about control equaling cost, everything that you still need to control is going to cost you more. You have to manage it, you have to maintain it, you've got to enforce policies associated with it. All of that costs time, money, and people. So if you want to optimize what you really need to control and centralize to manage security risk and what you can give away, again, we're already doing this with cloud. We are just not being very explicit about it, but it really is about optimizing cost. Then, if we do this together, we can let the business make the decisions. They can be as agile as they want to be. We can go zooming off into the future at the speed of the business, which is what we all want to do, right? We want to go hyperdrive with the business. This is what collaboration will bring us. Next, we're going to simplify design. Here's another great quote. Design measures that take away the complexity in security and make it understandable. Factor people in during the design and implementation of security measures. This is a quote from my friend Elizabeth Kolade, who is with the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria, and this is what democratizing security means to her. So let's talk about design. Have you noticed that we keep asking the same questions year after year in RSA? Like, why doesn't management listen to our risk analysis? Or why are security professionals getting burned out? Because we are. It's a real problem, and we're talking about it more and more. And my favorite, why do users keep clicking things we tell them not to? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because users have different priorities that are not security, but also, hello, the whole internet is built to click on. It's all about clicking. And we do not help as security vendors when we say, here, click on this to download our 18-page white paper on how not to click on things. This is getting ridiculous. We have to think about whether we are yelling at them for the wrong things, whether we're yelling at them for doing what's natural, what they're expected to do. When I was working for a state agency, I had a general counsel who wanted me to put in a mail filter to stop SSNs from leaving the agency. Great. So I put in the mail filter. 2 months later, guess who was caught mailing himself Social Security numbers in performance evaluations to his home address? What the same guy who wanted me to stop this was doing it. But this is natural. This is normal. We have to stop fighting this. Now, some of you know that I'm new to Cisco. Duo was acquired by Cisco about maybe a year and a half ago. And a little while in, I got an email that said, your paid time off is about to expire. And I thought, what? Is that even a thing? I mean, how would I know? I was new to Cisco. Maybe it was a thing. I almost clicked on that link. Turns out it was a phishing exercise, thank goodness. But again, why are we yelling at users? Wouldn't it be easier and better if we just secured things so that it wouldn't matter if they clicked or not, instead of saying, click that, no, don't click that, don't click that. This is a losing proposition for all of us. What we are doing instead, year after year, is we think that if we train them louder and explain harder, that they will stop clicking on things. Year after year after year. Oh, we have to educate them more. We have to educate them more. No. We are turning ourselves into a meme. We cannot keep doing this. They're just trying to do their job. Now, when I started in this field about 35 years ago, it was a very small community. And we could describe everything as intuitively obvious because we all had the same level of knowledge, the same background. That's not the case anymore. Today, we write for the world. We write for our friends, our neighbors. We write for people in countries we have never been to. They don't know what we know, and we cannot expect them to. In fact, they shouldn't have to know what we know. They should not have to. Now think about a spoon. Just go with me here. Think about a spoon. A spoon is really, really hard to get wrong. It's really hard to use it wrong. It is such a beautiful design that you learn how to use it as a toddler, and you can go anywhere in the world, and you see a spoon, you can pick it up and you know how to use it. You don't have to have annual spoon awareness training. So wouldn't it be great if we could design security to be as easy to use and as difficult to get wrong as a spoon? Here's a concrete example. Remember when Apple came out with their screen lock on the iPhone and you had to punch in 4 numbers to unlock it? According to their own data, only 35% of their workforce enabled it. Even Steve Jobs refused to use it because it was so annoying to type in those 4 numbers. When they introduced Touch ID, it was a completely different story, and the usage, the adoption shot up to 80%. Now, biometrics were already a thing. That wasn't new. It was not as easy to use, but here's the brilliant thing about the design of the iPhone. They put the biometric, the Touch ID, right on the home button where users were going to click anyway. Now that is seamless design. It's where they wanted to click, where they were going to click anyway. Security was right there for them. This is what we should be working towards. Security is what should be what the users would rather do anyway. We also have to design for a wider range of personas. Not everybody is an admin or a tech professional, especially in small and medium businesses. We have to be able to design things for the way that they want to use them, not the way we think that they should use them. And we also have to radically simplify what we are providing to them. As tech professionals, we're comfortable with a certain amount of complexity, but our users are not. They do not want to sit and admire our dashboards for hours on end, examining all the little features and everything. No, they have a job to do, they want to get in and do it, and they want to get back out again. So we have to simplify functions, data, operations, all of those things to make it easier no matter who's going to use it. And then finally, we need to build in a consumer-grade experience. We are all used to the consumer-grade experience when we're at home, and users are pushing back now. When they come into work, they don't want this other kind of engineering-grade experience. They want the same slick experience in both areas. So we have to be able to put that in. When we democratize tech and security, people are going to vote. They're going to vote for what they want with their budgets, with their compliance or their non-compliance, and we have to be ready to compete in that marketplace. We have to simplify the experience for users and get better results for everyone. Finally, we have to open up the culture. In a digital society, security has to be basic knowledge, freely available and taught to all ages. Both the laws and the morals of this society must adapt and behave accordingly. This is from my friend Sarah Krische, who is a freelance journalist in Austria. This is what democratizing security means to her. And the morals, how do we change the morals? First of all, we cannot keep shoehorning people into our narrow security culture. We have to stop thinking of ourselves as wizards and them as muggles. We have to bring security to them in ways that fit, no matter what age they are. For example, when kids are in kindergarten, we can't expect them to type in passwords when they don't know their letters and numbers. We're working on things like that, but I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to propose something very shocking. I think we should get rid of parental controls on kids' devices. That's the second pearl-clutching moment. Because we can no longer raise children to be compliant with somebody else's security model. We have to teach them to make good security decisions for themselves in their own interests. So I don't use parental controls at home, but my teenage daughter came to me a couple of months ago and said, "Mom, can you help me turn on parental controls?" I was like, "What?" It's because she wanted help enforcing her study time. So she set up the controls the way she wanted them, and I put on the password, and whenever she wants to change them, she comes back to me, and I unlock it, and she changes it the way she wants to. We have to get them to make their own decisions. Thank you. All the teenagers, yay! Because the other thing, have you noticed that we keep making the same security mistakes year after year? We did it with web servers. We have the same security mistakes with mobile, with IoT. It's not because people are not listening. It's because it's a different demographic. It's a different population writing that software with each new technology. That means we have to teach everybody. So it doesn't matter who comes in with new technology, they know how to apply the security controls. Everybody can secure it because they get it. It can no longer be the province of professionals, analysts, vendors, governments. It's got to be security of, by, and for the people, even though we're the ones who've been working on this for decades. I mean, I remember when SPAF was still at Georgia Tech. This was before Cult of the Dead Cow, and this was before the Loft. I mean, security did not start in the 90s, people. I just want to tell you that. And you millennials with your bit chain and your block Did somebody just yell, "Okay, boomer"? Pete, was that you? Okay, that's fair. I am a boomer. And maybe I am not the right person to take this on by myself because I've been thinking the old way for so long. Corporate, authoritarian. This is why we need to bring in all stakeholders of all ages. Everybody. So that we can do this together. Now, I know this is a lot to ask. It's a big, big undertaking. But I believe we can do this. We can start by going from control to collaboration. We can simplify and redesign the security controls that we are providing to people, and we have to open the culture. I believe that we can do this. We can do this. Let's do this.